So here's what we're attempting. We think this sound amplifier is bad. It's made by Sega in 1986. I think it's also an Outrun and Super Hang-On and probably Thunderblade.
A few others.
We're hoping this is our sound issue right now. We're getting no sound hardly at all. You can barely hear it if you stick your ear up to the speaker. I mean, but it's so faint, you can almost barely hear it over the static.
I think that, though, is actually key to we don't have the major problem that
yeah, hopefully that means
there.
we don't have a PCB issue.
Because if I didn't think this was going to fix it, I wouldn't waste our time.
Well, I initially was going to remove this a while ago and replace all the caps, but I took it to Gateway Electronics, and the guy said, just try these four little green ones, because those go bad, take out the whole board, so I replaced those. But I should have bought the caps, because I think what we're going to need to do is recap this guy and also kind of test all the parts.
Right. I mean, we could have transistor bad or...
We'll take it upstairs, put it on the workbench, and Matt will go through it and see if we can get this bad boy singing to us later on. That'd be awesome.
Some gameplay with sound.
Hell yeah. Check you.
I'm Walter Day, the father of esports, and you're watching Matty Mo's Arcade.
And you know how long it's been since I played Whac-A-Mole?
I'm getting ready to attack. Fanny pack attached. Tokens are all stacked. Got the mallet in my grasp. Waiting for the moles, hiding in their holes. Scoreboard keeping tally. I'll be playing till they close now. Can't nobody beat my high score. You can't beat my high score. Can't nobody beat my high score. You can't beat my high score. I'm a mallet master, a single-fisted blaster. You can ask my baby, it starts slow then gets faster. I'm a record setter.
All right, this is the audio amp out of the, what game is it? What are we working on today?
Drift.
Power Drift. Okay, so a couple things that I wanted to note before we started. The video had header problems where there was cracked solder joints. And I do believe it was this connector here in the schematics says that it goes to the potentiometer for the volume. So we're not sure exactly what's going on to this, but I want to address that, and just in case, that is also our audio problem as well as our video problem. So we've already done the work here. I've tested everything. We went through and Mike first changed these capacitors here.
Green guys.
The little green guys there. And then I started pulling and testing capacitors. My meter will only test to 400 microfarads. And these big guys here, I wasn't able to test with that. And I don't have my normal little meter for that.
2200 microfarads.
And so first was this one was fine. Oh, let me say this though. So there's two circuits here. There's two circuits here. Let me use my left hand. This circuit here and this circuit here are identical. We have a little bit of difference here, and I think that's for our outputs. But basically, there's an A and a B. So I went ahead and labeled them for my own self and Mike as we're talking through this so that we know who's talking about what. So this side is A and this side is B. Now, when we tested things that tested out of range on circuit A were also out of range on circuit B. Everything was almost identical. I mean, within a 1% on the microfarads. All of these caps here tested bad. Well, I wouldn't say they tested bad. They tested out of range for my meter. And they're, what were they, 200? The hundreds. No, I'm just these. Oh, right. So all 220s tested out of range. Right. The hundreds tested fine, but they were out of range, so we replaced those. The 220s I wasn't sure about, but one of them was completely cracked, and the other one looked like it was bulging on the bottom and looked really suspicious. So those two I think were problems in that part of the circuit. The other ones were just barely out of range, and we changed just to be safe. And then I went to the little transistors, and I pulled those and tested those, and they all tested fine, no problems there. I went through all of the resistors, and it was these two back here, right, Mike?
Oh, the R5.
R5,
so
which
kind
is
of the middle there.
Right here, the guy with a little violet on it. On both sides, they were 4.7K ohm, and they came up at like 1.3, 1.4K. So
worked up to 2.0, but
I have not changed those yet. So depending on what happens when we test the board, if there's no sound at all, we're not going to rush to get those. But if maybe we get something, we might end up looking into changing those before the end of the video. Then I moved to these guys here and these here, and I just basically put my ground on the heat sink back here, the wall, whatever you want to call it, and then tested each leg to see if any of them were grounded. There was a leg here in the middle and a leg here in the middle, and I assume that that's going to be fine because
hopefully that's what it's meant to
it's
be.
Probably just a ground pin. And I should have, but I worked on this for like 3 or 4 hours. So
yeah, we put some time on this guy.
By 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, whenever I didn't care about looking up the basic pinouts or whatever you want to call it of those chips. And so I just assumed that it's fine, even though everything's been identical and it probably would have shorted the same way. So we are ready to test it.
We had to up the voltages on some of the.
We did. So in the forums, we read that helped some people. So we were going to up the 100s from 16 to 25, and then the 200, 220, 25s to 220, 50s.
Microfarads being the first number, volts being the second number.
And so we didn't have enough to do all of that. Like this guy here wasn't upped as much, or this one was fine, but we upped this one a lot more.
We were able to up the 100 microfarads to 35 volts, but we didn't have any 220 microfarad capacitors that were 50 volt or
so they stay the same voltage.
Pretty much, yeah. We had a couple 16s and 225s, and we were able to, and we weren't even able to replace them with new caps because I have short supply here. And
I didn't have mine with me.
Right, his supplies.
We just have used ones that tested good, which it's just fine for what we're doing. We're not doing this as a professional repair for somebody.
No, we're just hoping to get a little bit of sound. If we get sound, we can definitely come back through and replace, put new caps in.
Yeah.
We did have to do a little jumper wire action because it
was, well, that's what I'm going to get to next.
Oh, okay.
And I'll flip this over. You want to make sure that I'm on frame here.
Okay.
As you can see, these solder points, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, these solder points are very, very small. I started out with too big of a tip on my iron. And so within the first 2 caps, I knew we were going to have an issue. But the Whac-A-Mole couldn't even... I was having trouble. Basically, until these chips here, everything in the front of this board, I had issues with. And Mike had issues with as well when he was working on it. So... it is super ugly. I haven't had a chance to hit this with alcohol or anything, but we just ran jumper wires where the pads lifted, where it was this one here, and then this guy right here. All were lifted. Everything else tested fine and it's good to go. It's just ugly. So you know how we roll. It might be ugly, but it gets the job done.
Those are 0 ohm resistors.
So let's wrap this up and we'll take this downstairs and get it installed in game.
Hopefully we get lucky.
I'm hoping to just hear a slight increase in volume over what it was before, and then at least we know we're on the right track.
Yeah. Hopefully it's this and not the main PCB.
All right.
See you soon. All right.
Hang on. Okay.
Okay, if you're following the video, we've gone through this bad boy, and hopefully it fixes the issue. Let's go ahead and plug it up, and maybe we'll get lucky. This cabinet's pretty clean on the inside.
It is really.
I think they told me that they came out of they got it out of O'Fallon from some rich couple, rich family. All right.
So it just has the 3 connectors that we're looking at your arm, pretty much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's basically the 3 plug-ins. You see that?
Let me zoom in a little bit.
They're kind of there where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna plug those bad boys in. I don't think it's gonna work, but
I'm just hoping it's different.
Well, I'm just hoping nothing starts exploding.
It's just sound.
I guess right. Just more caps we gotta replace.
There's an amplifier, but it's...
Alright, it's plugged up. What does Big Blue do there, I wonder?
Oh, that's what gives you the extra guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The bigger it is, the more extra guys you get.
Alright, cool. Should we plug it up or just flip it around? Go for
put
it.
one screw in so you don't slide it around and short something out or something?
Nah, I'm confident.
Alright. I'm a little short on the tripod, so...
Should we flip it around?
While you do that, I'll get it stood up on our end.
Get lucky here. That's another thing, it's not neat another leg leveler.
Grab like a shim.
Yeah, it's shimmed down. That's not sliding like it should. I just knocked off my black light out and didn't break it.
We are running a little short on time because I still have the video on there from yesterday.
Alright.
We got about 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. We're not gonna... Well, I don't know. I might play for 20 minutes if it works.
Yeah, I guess if it doesn't work, we're not really going to have anything to shoot. I heard something.
Oh, yeah! That sounds like audio.
Yeah, that didn't sound good.
Ooh, it's kind of going in and out. Well, maybe it does that when it passes a car. You hear some little sizzling back there, but...
You might want to check that. What do you mean sizzling?
Yeah, it might be the power supply.
Something arcing?
No, there's no sparks or nothing. Might be those resistors we still need to change out.
Nah, that wouldn't do it.
But yeah, we'll
we
see
should
if
have. I didn't think that was gonna fix it. I was listening to some gameplay. Man, the volume on it.
It is loud. It works.
We're gonna turn it down. I'm glad it works, but I
always bitching about the sound.
Wow. So now we'll have to powwow and try to figure out what we think it actually was.
I bet,
there was 2 blown caps.
It was the caps.
I guess it was probably just those 2 literal blown capacitors.
Oh yeah, you can hear the roar of the engine.
We had a few out of range. They weren't far out of range.
No, they weren't enough out of range to where you wouldn't get, wouldn't work properly, I wouldn't think. Oh yeah. This one don't count though.
The monitor looks pretty good.
Gave him a head start. Music!
Oh, you gotta be stoked. You didn't think we were gonna get this going.
No, not at all.
We weren't. If I wouldn't have been like, hey, let's pull this thing and worked on it last night, we definitely wouldn't have done it today.
I'm just glad that we were able to cobble together the parts to actually get something out of it.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, play another game.
Yeah, go for it. Get some real gameplay.
Welcome. They say the bigger tires you get, the easier to track. I'll get used to this now that I have a reason to play it with sounds. You see, I need to level it. It's wobbling on me.
Oh yeah, it wobbles big time.
Yeah. It's missing a leg leveler too.
So how much more fun is it to play with sound?
100 times better. I mean, you got the gist of it, but I mean, it's actually telling you when you pass people what place you're in verbally. Third lap. Yeah, I have no experience with power drift. This is my first experience as owning this arcade here. So, well, $200, little ingenuity.
Yeah,
luck.
I titled the video wrong yesterday.
Oh, that's what he wanted. They wanted $250. I talked him down to $200, but they weren't budging from that. Now I put a shaker motor in it, and it'll be complete. So maybe I'll save it for a Rush the Rock, fully tricked out. Oh, see, that's what I mean. Kind of like Rainbow Road. You're off the road, you're screwed. Oh. That says beer signs. Now I got something to do I can't stay on the road all afternoon. You know me, I'll play the game 3 days straight. I like to study up on the games I got, so I can beat everyone that plays it.
Sick now.
No, ain't doing that. Stay on the road. Damn, terrible. I got a place on this one. Coca-Cola signage. Cool. Once I learned how to shift and...
I really didn't think it was the caps because they looked totally perfect. Everything looked new in the cabinet.
Yeah, I thought that it had been our recap because it had those pretty red caps all over it.
And they looked fine, but when I pulled them, like the one was bulging on bottom, but it didn't show any other signs.
There was one that had a crack in it.
Yeah, and the one was completely cracked, and you could see it after you pulled it, but it was up close to that other cap.
Awesome.
So, final thoughts before we sign off on this?
Success! Success. I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I'm going to play it and see if I'm any good at it. And
find these secret power-ups we were talking about?
Yeah,
turtle
I found out you have to drink more beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's doable.
Right, yeah.
Take care of that.
The better you get, the more beer you drink.
So I'd say we're going to get a little practice in on this, learn a little bit more, and then we'll come back with some professional gameplay and a world record attempt.
Yes, definitely.
At some point.
I'll probably stream that.
Okay, that's cool.
You'll see it again once we finally do the
check them out on Twitch. It's I Am the Talent, not on Twitch.com.
No, I'm not a Twitcher. Or a Twitter.
Or a tweaker.
Or a Twitter. Power Drift.
With
It's
sound.
a good one. With sound.
So this may not fix your issue for every issue, but definitely at least check those capacitors and check the continuity from your pot to the board and all the solder joints on the bottom, just to make sure.
Don't forget about them joints.
Oh, yeah.
Always check those.
All right, thanks for watching, guys.
Have a good one.
So these two right here are going to be ground and 5 volt. So what do we get here? Did I not turn the game on? I didn't turn the game on. I guess that would help. Hang on.
Here it is. A nice little trade. The person I traded got what they wanted. I got what I wanted. And a pretty good deal on it too. Super hang on.
Get what I want.
That comes later.
Yeah.
Okay. It's on fire.
Whoa.
Lots of smoke.
Well, that's bad.
Yeah, well, thanks for watching.
When you take care of people, people take care of you in this community.
That's the truth.
So everyone, please remember that. Even if we're competitors, we're not enemies.